Captain Kim Soo-min pressed her face against the cold glass of the observation window. Outside, stars dotted the black space like tiny diamonds, but something else caught her attention. A massive shape drifted silently near Neptune, dark and lifeless. "What is that thing?" she whispered. Lieutenant Park Ji-ho hurried to her side, holding a data tablet. His hands shook slightly as he showed her the readings. "Captain, it's huge, maybe 10 kilometers long. We've never seen anything like it." The bridge of the Earth-ship Harmony buzzed with quiet activity. 20 crew members worked at their stations, but everyone kept glancing at the strange object floating in space. It looked like a giant metal whale, covered in symbols that glowed weakly with dying light. "Any signals coming from it?" Soo-min asked. "Yes, Captain," replied Ensign Lee Da-yoon from the communications desk. Her young face was pale with excitement and fear. "It's sending out numbers, mathematical patterns, basic addition, then multiplication, then more complex stuff." Soo walked to the center of the bridge. She had been captain for 3 years, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. First contact with aliens, the thing every space officer dreamed about and feared. "Can we understand what they're trying to say?" Da-yoon nodded quickly. "The computer is translating. It's like they're showing us they understand math, proving they're intelligent. But Captain... Her voice dropped to a whisper. "The numbers keep changing, and they're getting smaller." "What kind of numbers?" "Population counts. I think. It started at 50,000. Now it's at 49,500. It keeps dropping." Soo-min felt her stomach tighten. Whatever was inside that ship, they were dying. Fast. "Sensors. What can you tell me about life signs?" Corporauna Mayanwu looked up from his station. "Multiple biosignatures. Captain, different from humans, but definitely alive. The readings are weak and getting weaker. And Captain... many of them seem small, like children." The bridge fell silent, except for the quiet hum of machines. Soo-min stared at the alien ship. Earth's first contact protocols were clear: observe, record, report to Earth Command, and wait for orders. Do not approach, do not engage, do not risk. Human lives for unknown aliens. But 50,000 lives were ending right in front of her eyes. "Captain," Ji-ho said softly, "Earth Command is 3 hours away by radio. Even if we sent a message now, we'd have to wait 6 hours for orders. That ship doesn't have 6 hours." Soo-min closed her eyes. She thought about her daughter, back on Earth, only 8 years old. She thought about her husband, her parents, her friends. If Earth were dying, and some alien ship found them drifting in space, what would she want them to do? The population counter dropped again. 49,200. "All stations, listen carefully," she announced, her voice steady, despite her racing heart. "We're going to help them." The bridge erupted in surprised voices. Several crew members looked shocked. Captain Ji-ho said carefully, "That could be considered violation of direct orders. Your career, my career, doesn't matter if we let 50,000 people die." Soo-min interrupted. "Da-yoon, can you send them a reply? Use the same mathematical patterns, but show them we want to help." The young ensign's fingers flew over her controls. "Sending now, Captain." Minutes passed. Then the alien ship responded. The mathematical signals became more complex, and suddenly the ship's symbols began glowing brighter. "They understand," Da-yoon whispered. "They're sending coordinates, docking instructions." "Medical team, prepare emergency supplies," Soo-min ordered. "Engineering, get our portable life support ready. We're going to transfer whatever we can to help them survive." For the next 4 hours, the crew of the Harmony worked harder than they had ever worked before. They loaded medical supplies, food, water, and oxygen into transport pods. They programmed their computers to share basic Earth technology for keeping people alive. Dr. Yoon Ta-jin, the ship's medical officer, supervised the transfer personally. Captain, we're giving them almost everything we have. If something goes wrong, we might not have enough supplies to get back to Earth. Suman nodded. I understand, Doctor, but look at that counter. On the main screen, the population number had stopped falling, for the first time since they had arrived. It was holding steady at 48,900. Then something amazing happened. The numbers started going up. They're saving lives, breathed Corporal Nam. Our supplies are actually working. As the final transport pod connected with the alien ship, a new signal came through. Not mathematics this time, but something else. The computer couldn't translate the language, but somehow everyone on the bridge understood the meaning. Thank you, Su-Min sat in her captain's chair and watched the alien ship's lights grow brighter. She had just made the biggest decision of her life, possibly ending her military career and risking her crew. But 50,000 beings were alive because of it. She had no way of knowing that this single act of kindness would change everything, that these grateful aliens would become humanity's greatest allies, that this moment would be remembered as the day Earth became protector of the galaxy. All she knew was that when someone needed help, you helped them. It was that simple. Dr. Yun Tajin stepped out of his transport shuttle and gasped. 6 months ago, this spot on Mars had been nothing but red dirt and rocks. Now, green grass grew under his feet. Trees swayed in the gentle breeze, and he could smell flowers blooming. Nearby, he didn't need his environmental suit anymore. The air was clean and breathable. Amazing, isn't it? Said a voice behind him. Tay-Jin turned to see Malketh, one of the Kethera aliens who had become his friend over the past months. The tall, silver-scaled being walked on 2 legs like a human, but his large dark eyes and gentle face showed he was definitely not from Earth. How did you do this so fast? Tajin asked, still staring at the transformed landscape. Our best. Scientists said it would take hundreds of years to make Mars livable. Malketh made a sound that Tajin had learned was their version of laughter. Your scientists think too small, friend Tajin. We have been traveling the galaxy for many centuries. We learned these techniques from other worlds, other peoples. They walked together through what had once been a dead Martian valley. Now it looked like a park on Earth. Children played in the distance, both human and Kethera kids, running around together, laughing in different languages, but understanding each other perfectly. The Elder wants to see you, Malketh said. There are things we need to discuss. They found Elder Veltar sitting by a small lake that definitely hadn't existed last week. The ancient Kethera leader looked worried, his usually calm face showing concern. Ah, Dr. Yun, Veltar said, in his careful English. Please sit. We have much to talk about. Tajin sat on the soft grass beside the lake. Is everything okay? The terraforming project is going better than anyone dreamed. That is not what concerns me, Veltar replied. Tell me, Doctor, what do you know about our past? Why we came to your solar system? You said your homeworld was destroyed. Some kind of natural disaster. Veltar's large eyes grew sad. Not natural, I'm afraid. Our world was attacked, destroyed by a species called the Zephyrian hegemony. They are, how do you say, bullies on a galactic scale. Tajin felt a chill despite the warm Martian air. Bullies, they travel from system to system, taking what they want. Resources, slaves, territory. Any species that cannot defend itself becomes their property. They destroyed our cities, killed millions of our people. We barely escaped with 50,000 survivors. But that was in another part of the galaxy, right? Far from here. Veltar shook his head slowly. The hegemony does not give up easily. When they want something, they chase it across the entire galaxy. And now, ... He paused, looking up at the Martian sky. Our long-range sensors have detected ships heading this way. Hegemony ships. Tajin's mouth went dry. How many ships? Many. More than your people have ever seen in one place. They know we are here, and they know humans helped us. In their eyes, that makes Earth guilty of stealing their property. Property. You're not property. You're living beings. We know this. You know this. But the hegemony sees only resources to be claimed. And now they see humans as thieves, who must be punished. Taijin stood up, pacing back and forth by the lake. We have to warn Earth. Get our fleets ready. Your fleets? Veltar asked gently. Doctor, how many warships does Earth have? About 50, I think. Why, the hegemony is bringing 300. The number hit Taijin like a physical blow. 300 against 50. It would be a massacre. There is something else, Veltar continued. My people have been discussing this for days. We think we should surrender ourselves to save your species. What? No. Taijin sat back down heavily. You can't do that. Earth doesn't abandon its friends. Friends. Veltar repeated the word slowly. Yes, that is what we are now, isn't it? In all our centuries of travel, we have never encountered a species like humans. Most civilizations we met were polite, but distant. They traded with us, shared some knowledge, but always kept us at arm's length, and humans. Captain Kim Sumin risked her career to save strangers she had never met. Your government voted to give us an entire planet. Your children play with our children as if they have always known each other. Veltar's voice grew stronger. Your species doesn't just help others, you adopt them. Malkuth approached from across the grass. Elder, the human admiral is calling. He wants to speak with you. Admirao? Shui Minho. Veltar explained to Taijin. Earth's military leader has been asking many questions about hegemony technology and tactics. Why? Because, my friend, your admiral apparently has no intention of surrendering us, or surrendering at all. He is preparing Earth's fleets for battle. Taijin felt a mixture of pride and terror. Against 300 ships. Against 300 ships, Veltar confirmed. This is why we call humans unique. Any other species would have calculated the odds and handed us over immediately. But humans, ... He made that laughing sound again. Humans seem to think 50. Ships can beat 300 if they fight hard enough. Can they? Veltar was quiet for a long moment, watching human and Kethera children playing together by the lake. Perhaps not. But we have technologies that might help. Defensive systems, better weapons, shields that can protect entire fleets. You'll share them. Dr. Yoon, your people saved our lives when they had no reason to trust us. Now we will do everything we can to save yours. Admiral Choi Minho stared at the massive holographic display floating above the command table. Red dots moved slowly across the star map, getting closer to Earth's solar system every hour. 300 enemy ships, all heading straight for them. How long until they arrive? He asked. Commander Kong Sora checked her tablet. 18 hours, sir. Maybe 20 if they slow down. Minho rubbed his tired eyes. He hadn't slept in 2 days, not since the long-range sensors first detected the hegemony fleet. Around him, the command center of Earth's main space station buzzed with activity. Officers ran back and forth, carrying reports and updates. Everyone looked worried. Sir, the Kethera Elder is here to see you, announced Lieutenant Bei Sung-ho. Send him in. Elder Veltar entered the room, followed by 2 other The tall aliens moved gracefully, but Minho could see the sadness in their large dark eyes. Admiral Veltar said in his careful English, "We need to talk, of course. What can I do for you?" Veltar looked around at all the human officers working frantically at their stations. "You can let us go." Minho stopped what he was doing. "Excuse me, my people have made a decision. We will surrender ourselves to the hegemony. Maybe if we give them what they want, they will leave Earth alone." The command center grew quiet. Several officers had stopped working to listen. Elder Veltar Minho said slowly, "That's not going to happen. Admiral, please listen to reason. 300 ships against 50. Your mathematicians have calculated the odds. Earth cannot win this battle. Minho walked around the holographic display to stand directly in front of the alien elder. You're probably right. We probably can't win, but we're going to try anyway. Why? Veltar asked, genuinely confused. Why would you sacrifice your entire species for us? Before Minho could answer, a young voice spoke up from across the room. Because that's what families do, sir. Everyone turned to look at Sergeant Nam Hyenwoo, barely 20 years old and fresh out of military training. He looked nervous about speaking up in front of the Admiral, but he continued anyway. My little sister is 8 years old. If someone tried to take her away, I wouldn't calculate the odds. I'd fight. Doesn't matter if there were 10 enemies or 1,000, but we are not your family, Veltar protested. We are aliens from another world. Were, corrected Commander Kang. You were aliens. Now you're neighbors. Your kids play with our kids on Mars. Your doctors work in our hospitals. Your engineers are helping us build better ships. It's been 8 months since Captain Kim saved your people, added Lieutenant Bay. In that time, Kethera have become part of our communities. My nephew's best friend is a Kethera boy named Telrin. Veltar looked around the room at all the human faces. You would all die for us. We would all die defending our friends, Minho said firmly. But we're not planning to die, Elder. We're planning to win. How? Veltar asked. Your ships are smaller, fewer in number, and less advanced. Maybe. But we have something the hegemony doesn't expect. What? Minho smiled grimly. We have you. Your people know hegemony tactics, their weaknesses, their technology, and you've been upgrading our ships for months. It was true. Kethera engineers had been working around the clock to improve Earth's fleet. Better shields, stronger weapons, faster engines. The human ships were still outnumbered, but they were no longer helpless. There's something else, Minho continued. The hegemony thinks humans are just another primitive species they can push around. They've never fought us before. They don't know what we're capable of when we're protecting something we care about. Velt was quiet for a long moment. Then he made a decision. If you insist on fighting, then we will fight beside you. Our remaining ships are old and not built for war, but we will do what we can. Thank you, Elder, but I want your people to stay on Mars, where it's safe. Absolutely not, Veltar said firmly. If humans are willing to die for Kethera, then Kethera can die for humans. We are, as you say, family now. An alarm suddenly blared throughout the command center. Commander Kong rushed to her station. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the hegemony fleet. They want to talk. Put it on the main screen. The holographic display changed to show a reptilian face with cold, cruel eyes. The alien wore military decorations and had scars across his scaled skin. I am War Commander Vekmar of the Zephyrian hegemony, the alien said in perfect English. You are harboring stolen property that belongs to us. Surrender the Cathara refugees immediately, and your deaths will be quick. Minho stepped forward. I am Admiral Choi Minho of the Earth Defense Fleet. The Kethera are not property. They are our friends and allies. If you want them, you'll have to go through us. Vekmar laughed, a harsh sound like grinding metal. 50 primitive ships against our grand fleet. You are either very brave or very stupid. Maybe both, Minho replied, but we're not backing down. Very well. You have chosen extinction. We will arrive in your system in 16 hours. Use that time to say goodbye to your families. The transmission ended. The command center was silent for several seconds. Then Veltar spoke quietly. Admiral, the hegemony has never lost a battle. They have destroyed hundreds of worlds. Minho looked at the red dots on the star map, still moving toward Earth. Then I guess it's time for their first defeat. Commander O'Jin, gripped the armrests of her command chair as the hegemony fleet filled the view screen. 300 massive warships spread across space like a swarm of angry wasps, their dark hulls bristling with weapons. "All ships, this is Admiral Choi," came the voice over the communication system. "Remember why we're here? We're not just fighting for Earth, we're fighting for everyone who can't fight for themselves." Janae looked around the bridge of her cruiser engine. Her crew was young, mostly in their 20s, and none of them had ever been in a real battle before. But their faces showed determination, not fear. "Captain," called out Lieutenant Park Min-jun from the weapons station, "enemy ships are moving into attack formation." "How many are we facing directly?" Janae asked. 30 ships coming at us, ma'am. Each one twice the size of our vessel." Janae nodded. The odds were impossible, but that didn't matter now. All weapons ready, shields, and maximum power. The first wave of enemy fire lit up space like deadly fireworks. The engine shook as energy blasts hit their shields. Janae watched as other human ships around them took similar punishment. "Direct hit on the Busan," reported Ensign Kim Dae-young from the sensor station. "They've lost engines and are drifting." Janae saw the destroyer Busan spinning helplessly as 3 hegemony ships moved in for the kill. Without thinking, she made a decision that would have seemed crazy to any military textbook. All ships near the Busan form protective formation around them immediately. But Captain Min-jun protested. "That will expose us to enemy fire." "Do it anyway." 3 other human ships immediately changed course, placing themselves between the damaged Busan and the attacking enemies. They took heavy fire, their shields failing one by one. But they held the line. On his fighter, Lieutenant Bae Sung-ho watched this happening all around him. Everywhere he looked, human ships were protecting each other. When the cruiser Seoul lost half its weapons, 2 destroyers moved to cover its blind spots. When a group of fighters ran out of ammunition, other pilots shared their missiles. "This is impossible," he heard Elder Veltar's voice over the radio from the command ship. "Your people fight as if every ship contains their own family." "That's because they do," Admiral Choi replied calmly. "Every human out here is family." The battle raged for hours. Human ships were outnumbered and outgunned, but they fought with a coordination that amazed both sides. They moved like parts of a single organism, each ship knowing exactly where the others would be. Sung-ho watched a damaged human destroyer ram itself into a hegemony cruiser, sacrificing itself to create an opening for friendly ships. The pilots' last transmission was simple: for Earth, for the Cathera. On the hegemony command ship, War Commander Vekmar stared at his tactical display in confusion. "This doesn't make sense. Why aren't they retreating? They're taking massive casualties." His tactical officer, a younger hegemony warrior, looked equally puzzled. "Sir, every time we destroy one of their ships, the others fight harder. It's like they're angry we hurt their friends. Impossible. No species fights this way. They should be running by now." But the humans weren't running. Captain Kim Soo-min, commanding the veteran ship, Sejong, looked at her damaged bridge and made a decision. Her ship was dying, life support failing, but she could still move. "All hands, this is the captain," she announced over the ship's communication system. "We're going to ram the enemy flagship. It's been an honor serving with all of you." Her crew didn't argue. They didn't panic. They just did their jobs as the Sejong accelerated toward the massive hegemony command vessel. "Captain Kim, what are you doing?" Admiral Choi's voice crackled over the radio. "What needs to be done, sir?" Soo-min replied calmly. "Tell my daughter I love her." The Sejong struck the hegemony flagship like a missile, its explosion tearing a massive hole in the enemy ship's hull. Vekmar's ship began to spin out of control, its command systems failing. That single sacrifice changed everything. The remaining human ships, inspired by Captain Kim's bravery, pressed their attack with renewed fury. They stopped trying to survive and started trying to win. Elder Veltar watched from the bridge of Admiral Choi's ship, tears flowing down his scaled face. I have never seen anything like this. Your people, they fight like legends. The tide of battle turned. Hegemony ships, built for overwhelming weaker enemies, couldn't handle opponents who refused to be overwhelmed. One by one, enemy vessels began to retreat. Sir, reported Commander Kong from the sensor station, enemy fleet is breaking formation. They're running. Admiral Choi allowed himself a small smile. All ships, pursue, but don't chase too far. Let them go home and tell everyone what happened here. When the shooting stopped, only 15 human ships were still able to fight. Of the original 50, 35 had been destroyed or badly damaged. The cost had been terrible, but the hegemony fleet was gone. The survivors limped away into deep space, carrying news that would spread across the galaxy. A small species called humans had done the impossible. They had defeated the mighty Zephyrian hegemony through sheer determination and love for their friends. Sung Ho flew his damaged fighter back toward Earth, looking at the debris field where so many brave people had died. Captain Kim Soo-min was gone. So were thousands of others. But the Kethera were safe. Earth was safe. And somewhere in the galaxy, other species would hear this story and know that someone was willing to fight for those who couldn't fight for themselves. The Age of Guardians had begun. Ambassador Jung Haijin stood before the largest gathering of alien species she had ever seen. The Great Hall stretched for hundreds of meters, filled with beings from 47 different worlds. Some looked almost human, others were completely strange floating gas clouds, crystal formations that sparkled with their own light, and creatures that defied description. All of them had come to Earth to see the humans who had defeated the mighty hegemony. 1 year ago, Haijin began, her voice carried to every corner of the hall by advanced translation devices. Earth was just another small planet with a young species learning to explore space. We had no great empire, no powerful weapons, no vast fleets. She paused, looking out at the sea of alien faces. We had something else. We had the belief that when someone needs help, you help them, even if it costs you everything. In the front row, Elder Veltar and several other Keith sat with tears in their large dark eyes. Behind them, representatives from dozens of species listened carefully to every word. Earth never wanted to become guardians of the galaxy, Haijin continued. We never planned to build an alliance or fight great battles. We just couldn't turn away when 50,000 refugees were dying in space. A voice spoke from the audience. It belonged to Zarthik, a tall insect-like being from the Mantis Confederation. But you did more than help refugees. You fought a war you could not win. Why? Haijin smiled. Because they weren't refugees anymore. They were neighbors, friends, family. Admiral Choi Minho watched from the side of the hall, his uniform decorated with new medals but also bearing the scars from the great battle. His left arm was still in a healing cast from when his flagship had been damaged in the final assault. The hegemony ruled through fear for 1,000 years, said another voice. This came from Captain Melandra of the Aquatic Federation, her blue-scaled skin glistening under the hall's lights. Our worlds paid tribute to them because we were afraid to fight. But you showed us something different. What did we show you? Haijin asked. That bullies can be stopped if good people stand together. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Many of these species had suffered under hegemony rule for generations, too afraid to resist, too weak to fight alone. Dr. Yoon Taejin stepped forward from the Earth delegation. We've received messages from across the galaxy. Worlds that were under hegemony control are declaring independence. Species that paid tribute for centuries are forming their own defense fleets. And they're winning, added Commander Ojine, now promoted after her heroic actions in the battle. Without their main fleet, the hegemony can't control their empire anymore. It's falling apart. Elder Veltar stood up slowly. Despite his age, His voice was strong and clear. The Kethra people have made a decision. We offer all our knowledge, all our technology, all our lives to serve Earth and its allies. You don't need to serve us, Hyjin replied gently. We want you as partners. Partners then, Veltar agreed. But partners with a debt that can never be repaid. You saved our children. You died for strangers. You showed the galaxy that some things are worth fighting for. More voices joined in from around the hall. The crystalline Silinth offered their advanced computers. The mechanical gearlings promised to build ships for the Alliance. The plant-like foreskin would grow food for any world that needed it. One by one, species after species pledged to join what they were calling the Terran Guardian Compact. We're not building an empire, Admiral Choi explained to the assembly. We're building something different, a promise that no one will face their enemies alone. A guarantee that bullies will always find defenders standing against them. A small, alien child, no taller than Hyjin's waist, walked up to the speaking platform. She belonged to the Tinykin species, people who looked like miniature humans, with pointed ears. My name is Pipara, the child said in a squeaky voice. My world was attacked by pirates last month, but human ships came to help us. They didn't ask for payment. They didn't want anything from us. They just helped, because we needed help. She looked up at Hyjin, with wide, grateful eyes. Is it true that humans always help people? Hyjin knelt down to the child's level. We try our best, little one. Sometimes we fail, sometimes we make mistakes. But we always try to help when we can. Then I want to be human when I grow up, Pipara announced seriously. Laughter filled the great hall, but it was warm laughter, not mocking. Several alien parents nodded approvingly at the child's words. You don't need to be human, Hyjin told her. You just need to care about others the way humans do. And from what I've seen today, many species already understand that. As the formal ceremony ended, representatives from dozens of worlds signed the Guardian Compact Agreement. They promised to defend each other, share resources, and never turn away from those in need. Later that evening, Admiral Choi stood on the observation deck of Earth's main space station, watching ships from across the galaxy dock at the expanded Port Scathera, medical vessels, Silinth research ships, Aquatic Federation, patrol boats, and many others. Did Captain Kim ever imagine it would lead to this? Asked Dr. Yoon, joining him at the VIEWPORT. Choi smiled, thinking of the brave captain who had sacrificed herself to save them all. She always said the universe was too big and too dangerous for anyone to face alone. I think she'd be proud too. See that no one has to anymore. Below them, Earth turned in its eternal dance, no longer just a single world, but the heart of something greater. A beacon of hope in a galaxy learning that the greatest strength comes not from what you can take, but from what you're willing to give.